Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to today's Daily Devotional. Just given everything that's going on with us, with our house, and everything going on today, we've got showings scheduled all day tomorrow. So I just wanted to go ahead and let everybody know. I think it's going to be best if we cancel the Daily Devotional for tomorrow. I could do it at the church building, but I'm not sure how everything's going to go tomorrow. There's just a lot of stuff going on. That's the plan for tomorrow. So our next daily devotional after today will be on Thursday at 6:30, Lord willing. And then depending on how things go, if we need to cancel, we'll do that. But for now, we'll go ahead and plan on having it on Thursday. But I will make a post on Facebook, and I'll also send an email out just in case people didn't watch today's daily devotional. So today's daily devotional is actually going to be very short. Scott, you can time me because we've got, like I said, we've got the stuff going on with the house to get ready for tomorrow. But also, it's the weather outside is frightful. So hopefully our electricity and the internet and everything will last long enough to finish this. All right, so our daily devotional today is going to be coming from an article that was posted back on the 27th. Reverend William Barber suggests Manchin is on the side of sin for opposing removal of filibuster. I'm not going to read this entire article. There's a whole lot of politics in it, but there are a couple statements that I wanted to point out. The Reverend Bishop William Barber II suggested on MSNBC Sunday that those who oppose the Democratic push to remove the filibuster and implement a federal minimum wage increase are, quote, on the side of sin. Barber was arrested last week with the Reverend Jesse Jackson while protesting against Republican opposition to voting reforms and the filibuster's abolition. Like I said, I'm not going to read all of this because some of it is just politics. Barber called for, quote, a season of nonviolent civil disobedience and direct action. He said, if you're on the side of the Republicans who continually support a filibuster, then you're not on the side of a constitution, the civil rights activist told MSNBC's Ali Velshi. That's why last week was the beginning. People are calling from all over the country to recognize we need not just rallies, but a season of nonviolent civil disobedience and direct action, because that's how these Voting Rights Act and other things were won. And that's the only way we're going to keep it and expand it. Going on down, again, I'm skipping a lot of this because of politics. And then at the end, he calls out Joe Manchin specifically. He says, which side are you on, Joe Manchin? The constitutional side, the moral side, or the other side? He added, since it's Sunday and I'm a preacher, are you on the side of sin? Okay. It's important for us to, and we've talked about this before, about the need to separate political ideologies, political situations that are taking place, whether it's in America or any other country, from our service to God. And what happens is if you make or include the concept of ideology and Christianity, then it becomes which side are you on, Democrat or Republican? And then, for instance, let's say this, what's his name again? Reverend Barber, Bishop William Barber. It would appear that he's on the Democratic side of politics here. He's calling out the Republicans. So if he's going to go study with somebody about the gospel, say, and that person is a Republican, and they are aware of these outspoken things, and that might cause a problem in trying to study about the gospel. And the gospel is not political. The gospel has nothing to do with politics and everything to do about the saving of souls. And so it's very important that we realize that as Christians, whether we're preachers or not, it's not that we can't have political opinions. That's not what we're saying. But what we're saying is that what we need to remember, there's two main phrases that this individual makes. He refers to sin being involved, and then he also refers to having a season of nonviolent civil disobedience and direct action to get what they want. Okay, that being the case, what does Paul say in Romans chapter 13, starting in verse 1? He says, "Let every soul be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except from God, and the authorities that exist are appointed by God. Therefore, whoever resists the authority resists the ordinance of God. Those who resist will bring judgment on themselves." It doesn't matter if we're talking about non-violent action. Civil disobedience in any form is going against what Paul says in Romans chapter 13. Does that mean that we can't practice our civil rights to protest? No, and I don't believe that's what is being described here. I don't think that's what Mr. Barber is describing. He's describing civil disobedience. That's not the same thing as practicing our right to protest. Civil disobedience implies that we're disobeying the law, that we're breaking the law, non-violently, but we're breaking the law. And so on this note in particular, this is something that is not supported in Scripture. And I'm surprised, well, I shouldn't be, that someone who purports to have the gospel and to preach the gospel would make this statement when the Scriptures are clear that we are to obey the governing authorities and the laws of the land, is a phrase that we use often, as Christians. But secondly, to then explain or to establish one side being sin, when we're talking about policies, he says it's a moral issue, the constitutional side, the moral side, or the other side. But it's not a religious side. Okay, he can think it's a moral side all he wants to, and whether you agree with him or not, you may think it's a moral issue. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But the real question is, if you're going to bring in sin, are you on the side of sin, which he is associating to being Republicans opposing the removal of the filibuster? That is all politics. In the article itself, he talks about poor people and getting the things that they need and so forth, all of that. But nothing that he describes and nothing that is being discussed here has anything to do with sin or not sin. It's politics. It's policies. And to claim that God in some way wants us to have certain policies or political leanings, ideological leanings in our politics, and if you're not on that side, then you're on the side of sin, that is reading into Scripture where there is no suggestion of that in Scripture. In fact, if anything, we are to be apolitical, especially as it pertains to our representing ourselves as Christians. Politics should not be a stumbling block, either for ourselves in studying with somebody, or for that somebody with whom we're studying, because our political ideologies come out more so than our effort to teach the gospel and save souls. In the end, politics are politics. And regardless of how the politics end up, 100 years from now, who cares? But 100 years from now, a soul may care because you took the time to talk to them, even if they were a Democrat or a Republican, the opposite political ideology that you are. So it's very important that we keep perspective in this world. And the perspective here is incredibly intertwined with from the quote unquote religious side into the ideological and political issues that are taking place. That is not what we're to do as Christians. But I read that and I saw the initial title of the article suggests Manchin is on the side of sin for opposing removal of filibuster, and I just said that's abuse of Scripture, and that's abuse of one's position, I believe, as being one who is supposed to represent the side of Scripture. Instead is pushing a political agenda. And again, I mean, we can agree with him or not agree with him in terms of the policies and the politics. That's fine. We can debate whether it's a moral issue. That's fine. But it is not an issue of Scripture. And so to suggest that there's a side of sin here, that's that's taking incredible liberties with Scripture. All right, that's the daily devotional for you today. How long has almost about 10 minutes. All right, like I said, our next daily devotional, Lord willing, will be on Thursday at 6:30. That will be the plan. If something happens, I will make sure to let everybody know. All right, everybody, y'all have a great rest of your day and great rest of your couple of days, and hopefully I'll see you Thursday. Thanks, everybody.